Traces of the supernatural reveal themselves more often than intelligent and reasonable men would prefer them to. Chimeras, worshipped by our ancestors centuries ago, crawl back into the light from ancient times. The directors of our fate rain ash down on us from the grey heavens. They conceal themselves beneath us, above us, and among us, staying hidden until we muster up the resolve to meet their malevolent gaze. Having been discovered, they appear in the flesh for a mere moment, and then they expire horribly, wreaking havoc on the world that they rightfully see as their toy.
Well, that's an intro. Huh. First of all, chimeras. I've encountered that word hundreds of times on so many different forms of media, and never have I seen it pronounced chimeras. That threw me for a loop for a second there. And that intro is setting up like a really specific brand of like Deadly Premonition / Silent Hill, like awkward early 3 looking humor. I mean, horror, not humor. That weird stuff where just everyone's so off-putting and lower and under realized visually, but it's in a creepy horror thing, so it actually makes it more creepy. Anyway, this is Pathologic. It's the HD version of it. Oh, look, it's already set to 1080. I was a little worried because that intro was in not 10, well, it might have been 1080, but it wasn't in 4:3, and I was a little worried about it being in 4:3. But it doesn't seem to matter so much. Turn off that motion blur, because it always makes everything look worse. Pump up that voice volume. There's voices, I want to hear them. These are weird settings. They're all set to really low numbers by default, aren't they? Anyway, this is Pathologic. This is the older PC RPG I was hinting at yesterday that I would play next after Dark Souls. I could have gone one of two ways. It was kind of a coin flip. I want to play Pathologic, and I also want to play Vampire the Masquerade. And the main deciding factor here was that Pathologic 2 is coming out. Maybe this year, maybe next year. I don't really have my finger on the pulse for the news of that, really. But that gives me a time constraint, so I'm like, okay, let's get Pathologic out of the way. Vampire the Masquerade does not have time constraints by comparison. This is a weird one. Also, it's really funny that I'm playing Vampire or Vampire or whatever by Don't Nod right now, which is a Western RPG thing that's half vampire, half Plague Doctor, and my two choices I was going with were a vampire game and a Plague Doctor game, because that's what this game is. This game's gonna be odd. It actually might be very similar in some ways to Vampire, while being very different in other ones, because I think this game has the full-on Euro jank going on. But came out like, I want to say like 15 years ago, and you play a Plague Doctor in a town with a real-time clock going by, and you need to do what you can. I don't really know how the story plans out or like how events unfold. I think it's reasonable to assume there might be hints of like Dead Rising and whatnot, where there's just like the real-time clock's happening, things are going to die or not die based on what you do, and you kind of just end up with I assume you probably end up with your own personal playthrough outcome that varies from person to person a bit. It's also supposed to be really opaque and weird and hard, and a little hard to get into the headspace for, but I've wanted to try it out for a while, and this should be something different. Let's get in there.
So, it's all about trickery to you? Wherever have you come from?
No. I detest trickery, but if we ourselves are to suffer deception, our hands are no longer tied. Where are we?
Well, the muscular contraction is there. Means you're already inside of him. This must be one of the ventricles, right here.
What a silly place. It's stuffed. So it's not real for now? I don't think it has started yet.
Does it matter what it's made of? It's definitely struggling. We need to perform sectio transversalis. Cut the wall. There's no other way out. What else is there to do?
I know what to do. Those who favor hard logic and direct action are bound to be misguided. Only a miracle can set us free without us having to destroy something. And I can do miracles. Just let me.
Will you please be quiet? You're a liar and a thief. Who is going to believe you when you keep lying to yourself? The truth is my shepherd. Whatever happens, I will find answers, and justice will be restored. I will perform the operation. Medica morbo adhibe.
Don't you go all bossy on me, clever clogs. You will act justly, but your justice will blind you and become his demise. This calls for the gentle hand of a surgeon. Step aside, both of you.
Your gentle hands are used to killing, not giving life. You will inevitably do harm. As for Brainy, he has no regard for casualties at all. Neither of you knows compassion.
Yes, it seems unlikely that we'll get along well. But there's only one truth.
Any choice is right as long as it's willed. That's the truth of the matter.
Only the heart will show you the right choice. Stop thinking about yourselves. Think of the sick. He's in pain. I can't see it yet, but I can feel it.
It's not even a trap. It's a grave. Subipsum funis sumus. Can't say I hold a soft spot for it.
I can see that. You're full of hate. Stuffed or not, it's breathing. I can hear it. It can be healed rather than killed.
You mean you won't become a killer? But you will. Mark my word, that's exactly what will happen. But I can avoid it.
No, we won't ever get along. I suggest we be on our way. The sooner the better.
Off we go then?
Let's go. The clock is ticking.
This is the strangest intro for a game. Especially since I don't know what to make of this. Am I picking one of these characters to play as? Or are they the antagonists of the game? Or like, am I going to meet them at all? Or is this a weird debate between three different ways of dealing with healing? And then I never see these people again? I actually don't know. Oh, the game. Oh. When it went dark and froze, I thought I was loading. I'm playing still. First of all, let's deal with a few things here. Let's see. Controls. That sensitivity is going to have to go a bit higher. Gamepad sensitivity. I feel like I wouldn't want to try to play this with a gamepad. Gamepad rumble off. Don't start shaking my controller if it's ever happens to be turned on. Let's not do that. It is recommended that I look at the controls because this game apparently just doesn't tell you about some things you can do. Plague Finder is V, Torch is F, Jump is space. There's left and right mouse button attacks. Tab shows your hands, left control is sneak. Reload inventory maps, pretty straightforward. There's a diary, letters, character status. Huh. Ooh, quick save is F5. I'll double check in the future to look for additional context. I was hoping to find subtitles though, because there was no subtitles in that whole scene, which would have helped me understand people. Let's just turn voices up even more. Maybe that'll help. I don't think there is subtitles in this game, although I think most of the game is actually us reading text via like traditional RPG dialogue systems, where I'm sure the subtitles are pretty much built in. Oh well. F5. Hey, look, it's saved. Oh my fucking... Okay, calm down. That was a huge difference, apparently. Oh yeah, it starts at 0.1, so I guess it starts off incredibly low. There we go. That more or less works. So you move slower while strafing than you do walking forward. You move way faster moving forward and backwards. Shift is crouch instead of sprint. That's weird. Can I go down there and talk to them or something? Or... Ah! Hi. So I am picking one of these characters, and they're represented as stock photos. I think I already know... Oh, you can't even play as this characters. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to play as the Bachelor, but I'll read through them anyway, and I'll explain afterwards why I've been told to play the Bachelor. The Bachelor. A history of humanity witnessed a number of catastrophes that have demonstrated without a shadow of doubt the pettiness of human achievement and the triumph of the inevitable evil. Outbreaks of infectious diseases that have from time to time wiped towns and cities off the map are undoubtedly among those. However smart and virtuous, the people caught up in these destructive events have repeatedly come to the conclusion that it's no use trying to fight these circumstances. The best you can do is bite the bullet and cope with your losses. This is the story of a person who has managed to work a miracle and defeat a seemingly unvanquishable foe. Haruspex. I'm just gonna guess about that pronunciation. How do they call upon the... the Menku? The faithful of a warden kin? Known by their hands, for they are butchers. Known by their eyes, for they are surgeons. They who follow the lines. They who are leaders of the kin. They who speak to Urdugs. I don't know what's happening. They who know the secret art of haruspicy. What is a haruspex? Reading the future in the entrails. He knows that a body bears semblance to the universe. His scalpel follows the lines of the body. His steps follow the lines of a kin's fortunate. A haruspex can tell a true line from a false one, is entrusted with power. A haruspex who is confused by his path gets buried into the deep, black flesh of the earth. This is the story of a person who has avoided the contradiction, eager to rip a doomed life apart, masterfully fulfilling his true purpose in the process. Blah. Then Changeling, you can't do this one. You have to beat the game as one of the other people, apparently. So I was right. The three people that we were down there were the characters you can actually choose. Seeing them closer up would have made it a little easier to pick one, I suppose, or even tell which one was talking half the time. Because I can't from here. I can't instantly recognize which of these two is which from down there. But I think this was the guy standing in the middle, and this is the guy that had his back against the wall. And she calls him a butcher surgeon, and their butchery and surgery stuff shows up in the description. Anyway, I was reading tips about this game, like non-spoilery tips, just stuff that indicates like things to think about and stuff like that. And one of the first things that comes up is the idea of, hey, play The Bachelor if you're new to this game. It can be hard to understand what's happening in this game and piece together the world and introduce yourself to it. And the Bachelor is apparently specifically a character who is an outsider to the city that the game takes place in, whereas apparently this guy may not be. And so that means that people are more likely to exposit to you things that you kind of need to know, and haruspex may not receive such information. That's what I was told, at least, so I'm gonna go with that. Also, this guy kind of seems like a lunatic and has a really weird, might have a really weird play style if he's reading entrails and stuff like that. Whereas this guy, I think, is just a plague doctor character. We'll see how it goes with the first playthrough and how long it is and how much more I want from it. And maybe I'll play all three characters, I don't know. Kind of depends on whether it's actually diverse and interesting enough and I like the first playthrough enough. Or if it's just more of the same for the other two playthroughs mostly, and might not, diminishing returns and all that. Let's get in there.
Daniil Dankovsky, a Bachelor of Medicine, was brought here by circumstances most unfortunate. Dankovsky's life work, his theory challenging the existing notions of human mortality, is being harshly persecuted by the powers that be. Suddenly, a letter arrives from a colleague suggesting that there is previous undiscovered evidence which may support Dankovsky's claims. There is a settlement, the letter says, ruled by an extraordinary man who may well be seen as objective proof of Dankovsky's daring hypothesis. Grasping at straws of hope, Dankovsky decides to follow what he believes to be the sign of divine providence. Without further ado, he sets off for the settlement. Late at night, Bachelor arrives in the town. As he seeks room and board, he gets to know a girl called Eva Jan and stays at her place till dawn.
These intros totally remind me of the intro montage thing from Deadly Premonition, where they're just showing you a bunch of faces you don't have context for yet, for the most part. But it's always just unnerving. As of today, my mission remains obscure. The examination of Simon Kane, who is rumored to be a man of incredible longevity, may shake the very foundation of modern thanatology and challenge the existent notions of death itself. However, even if this undying Leviathan proves to be more than a fairy tale, the mere confirmation of his existence won't suffice to prevent the powers that be from shutting our laboratory down. I need to figure out the most fruitful approach. Simon is a well-respected man, and if he mistakes my interest for effrontery, it would be nigh impossible to convince him to help me break new ground in the field of human vitality. Don't have any today's quest or other tasks, so that'll be how we navigate and organize our to-do lists. It looks like. How do I continue? Spacebar. That works. By the end, day 1, by the end of which Bachelor finds himself battling a truly unvanquishable foe. That's gonna happen today? Evidently? I think comments and whatnot can help me figure out terms of like, how many campaigns I'll likely do and stuff. How much there's, diminishing returns and how much they actually differ from each other and so on and so forth. And whatnot. Hello. Can't read that, evidently. I'm gonna double check my controls real quick. Just because they might show me more now that I'm actually playing a Plague Finders V. Doesn't seem that different now. Sheath and holster weapon is X. List of the bound is T. Character status is P. This is more than was here originally, right? I figured that since I'm playing as a specific character, maybe I have different controls listed here. But yeah, Q is diary, letters is L. Oh. I. How many these? Do I have 12? No, they're blank. I only have 1. I was like, why? I'm like, how? Wait, what? Okay, that was weird. I clicked and something happened and I was confused. Okay, so I do have letters already. Isidore Barak's message. My dear Bachelor Dankovsky, it was most disconcerting to hear that the powers that be have the intention of shutting down the laboratory that owes its fame largely to your research in the field of thanatology. Is it true that your detractors have branded your studies scientifically stillborn? Rejoice, Bachelor, for there is an observable case that would quell the obscurants that reject the research of death, aging, and necrosis as a subject that lacks academic viability. This case, were you to document it, would go a long way towards restoring your reputation as a scholar. The subject in question is Simon Kane, who has ruled the town where I live for as long as I can remember. The man's longevity transcends the boundaries of what is plausible. It is phenomenal, no less, and I struggle to give an explanation of it with what scientific means I have at my disposal. Make no delay. There is a sensational discovery to be made here, a breakthrough that will not only save your laboratory but also revivify your studies and greatly increase your scientific renown. Your humble servant and faithful colleague, Isidore Barak. P.S. I spoke to Simon on your behalf, and he has kindly agreed to facilitate your effort. Daring ideas and far-fetched projects are traditionally very well respected in our neck of the woods. So what happened when I clicked on it? It just goes away? Oh, I'm opening and closing Isidore Barak's message. Like this little thing is a button, but it closes when you click anywhere. I was wondering what was happening there. Do multiple messages show up in one page eventually, I guess? Maybe a back and forth. Maybe I maintain letters back and forth with 12 characters. And so maybe I can go back and forth. Yeah, maybe that's why. Alright, so Q is my diary. I just need to find the Simon character. That's all I really have to go on so far. Sure. Is it a window? I think so, yeah. M for map. Ooh. Ooh, look at this detailed map. Ooh. Town hall, Trammel, someone's house. So we have these dark gray ones, we have these, like, tan ones, and we have these red ones. Red ones tell me what they are, nothing else seems to. It's Cathedral, the Crucible, Stillwater. Alright, so if somebody tells me to go somewhere, I can probably figure out where it is, in part due to... Oh, these ones also tell me what they are. I think it's just, the tan and gray ones don't tell me what they are. But the red ones do, and the large ones do. Railway station. Eva Jan's house. Is that me, I wonder? There's a little arrow there. That could be a destination, or it could be where I'm standing right now. What is this? The abattoir. Abattoir? I don't know that word really, but it's freaking huge. It's like a giant heart. It looks like a heart and a tent. It even has 2 chambers. And it is staggeringly large looking. What the hell? This could be an interesting setting. Can I click on anything or use... You are shiny. Ah, I can use you. Weapons, clothes, drugs, rations, other. Can I put the money in there? Is that money? I think it's money. Money. Drugs. Let's put the drugs in there. Nope. So that's a telescope. A microscope, sorry. Sorry. This might be slightly annoying, but it's just the finickiness of settling in at the beginning of a long playthrough. Gotta tweak a few settings, learn a few things. It's always a rocky start. As far as I can tell, I can't pick up or interact with any of the objects around here. I think that's all... yeah. It's whatever for now. Ah! Oh, okay. So pressing E on a bed gives you the option to sleep, as you'd expect. Defaults to 6 hours. I have 5 stats here. This is day 1. There's already time ticking by, but it seems to pause whenever I open something that probably, I would assume dialogue, but also maybe the map or this menu. Health bar, immunity, hunger, exhaustion, and infection. Relatively straightforward concepts, I suppose. I assume hunger being empty means that I'm in a good situation and that it'll fill up as it fills up, I'm in more trouble, and it's going to go with that system. Otherwise, I'm starving to death right now, which I'm guessing I'm not. Ooh. What? No. Oh, I'm looting the cabinet itself, but there's nothing in it. Okay. So that's what it looks like when you actually successfully open something that can, in fact, be opened, which I think that's the first one we've found that actually can be opened. That door opens. Alright, that's what all we're gonna probably find on this floor. Hey there. Lots of documents scattered around, but I don't seem to think that they're important. Hello, nearly naked woman. How are you doing? Hello?
I had a feeling you would come.
Alright. You look panicked? Is that your normal look? Did the sounds from outside wake you up too? There was a terrible groan, and then something snapped loudly. I fell asleep so quickly I didn't even notice. It's like I fainted. So what sounds are you talking about? Okay, so this is the log of previous conversation, so I think I can ignore this unless I hit a moment where I've, like, lost track of what was said before. Okay. I think there are strangers in the backyard, by the pond. They're unlikely to be planning mischief, but I have a bad feeling about this. I'm afraid to go out to them. I hope they go away soon and stop disturbing our sleep. I'd like to thank you for your hospitality, for board and bed. I sincerely hope you have everything you need, because I'm very happy to have you here. Daniil, is it? How do you know who I am? Glory is the messenger riding ahead of the man. A celebrity, that's like a really, that's a new way that I haven't heard before of saying, like, your reputation precedes you, basically. A celebrity from the capital, Bachelor Dankovsky, the founder of Thanatica, the man who challenges death. Of course we've heard of you. The glory is undeserved yet, but I hope that getting to know your ruler will give me a chance to live up to your expectations. Death. So that's the enemy you've chosen for yourself. Isn't it hard? I don't think anyone has managed to defeat that evil yet. Millions of doctors defeated it on certain singular occasions, but my enemy is more fearsome. It is death itself rather than a singular case of death. I don't understand. You don't? I thought it was straightforward, actually. I can barely understand it myself. Could death only seem inevitable to us, but in reality be nothing more than a whim of the will that had shaped this world? That is the question. So where's the key to my victory? It's not far. The Canes live at the Crucible, on Bridge Square. But could I please offer you a piece of advice? Go on. Simon has 2 younger brothers. The eldest of the 2, Gregory, or Georgie, Georgie, is called the Judge by the locals. Visit him first. He isn't asleep. He'll teach you how to speak with Simon. The youngest of the 3 is Victor. His daughter, Maria, also wanted to see you. It's probably important. Okay, so Simon has 2 younger brothers named Georgie and Victor. Victor has a daughter named Maria. Or Simon, wait. It's actually not 1000% clear if Maria is Victor's daughter or Simon's daughter. He could just be she could just be listing the 3rd familial relation to Simon, or branching from Victor to say that Victor has a daughter named Maria. Was it she who knew about my arrival beforehand? Yes. She told me about it privately. Talking to her is no simple task. Maria is that kind of person. She puts on airs. but that's just how the Canes are. It was Maria who told me that she would help you defeat death. That's the precise wording. What a coincidence. Alright, thank you for the advice. I doubt it's a coincidence. Go, and I'll prepare everything for your return. Do come back after you speak with the Canes. They will probably do a lot of things that will puzzle you and put you on guard. I will have some advice that may be of help to you if you need it. Okay, I'll be coming back. So there's actually a lot of... It seems like the map might fill itself in pretty thoroughly to help you out. This mansion called Stillwater belongs to a single girl named Eva Jan. An accidental midnight encounter provided me with a lovely companion and temporary lodging. So that arrow probably is me. And this is where I am right now. And the map's already populating with little marks that give me additional details. The mysterious Maria, Victor Kane's daughter, has been expecting my arrival for several days. She seems to know more about me than I do. Simon Kane, the man of improper longevity, is waiting for me here. I hope he sympathizes with my request. I only need a living evidence of the impossible. So that's Maria Kane, Victor Kane, and Georgie Kane. None of them are actually Simon Kane's house. They belong to Victor, Maria, and Georgie? Huh. And it just has to go to Georgie's place, like she said. Alright. It's clearly a dated game, but it's good to have it running in 1080 and everything. This is the updated HD Classic Edition. Kind of an obnoxious name calling it Pathologic Classic HD, but I think they called it all that because they had to specify, because at one point they were working on a remake that was kickstarted, but then the remake has morphed into becoming Pathologic 2? If it was a pure remake, I might have just waited for that, but now I might play both, because it seems like it might be a proper sequel, or at least different enough that they're not comparable directly. What the hell? Oh, this is gonna be a game, alright. That's the first thing I see when I come out here, is a bird monster and a weird naked man with a mask. Not naked necessarily, but incredibly odd. The Tragedian. Alright. I wasn't sure what to expect, if this would be like a super grounded setting or a crazy one. And we're going towards crazier. It's not quite... This is not quite Vampire, where everyone is a relatively normal Londoner in a bad setting. This is crazy immediately. Venerable Bachelor, please be so kind as to linger for a minute. This conversation won't take too much of your time, especially since time stops during dialogues. Okay. So you're not real, are you? Is that why you're so okay, maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe he's so strange because he's not real, and instead is like somebody to talk to the player directly. Huh. Alright, so time stops during the dialogues. At least during the important ones. And our dialogue is extremely important. You need to know how to play after all, don't you? Play? What are you talking about, Masked Man? I'm neither a gambler nor an actor. Of course you aren't. You're a living, breathing man, as is evident from your conditions and statuses. You experience hunger, thirst, and fatigue. You suffer from pain, wounds, and diseases. You're so lifelike. You have to eat, drink, sleep, and rest, and to make mistakes. The latter being the most definitive proof of my human nature, wouldn't you agree? If I may, I would like to point out just how important it is to keep an eye on your condition. If you get dizzy, or unnaturally sluggish, do have it checked up. Vital processes tend to run faster during emergencies than in everyday life. I knew a person who died of stress, but was diagnosed with starvation. It happens. I can testify to that as a doctor. Need I remind a wise man like you of the fact that hunger is sated with food, Food can be found in shops, and shops can be found in ordinary houses that are marked with specific signs. Sleep, however, is more complicated. People only sleep in beds, and only in private residences around here. I'm sorry, but that's just how our world is. Yes, the world is unjust. This is the strangest. And quite silly, if you forgive me for saying so. Speaking of commerce, different shops sell similar items at different prices. Make sure you don't get cheated. People can be quite brazen around here. You can also barter with folk out in the street. Some things may be nothing more than trinkets to you, but others would be willing to part with their life's blood for them. Blood? Yes, blood. It's not my place to lecture you, but if, following your Hippocratic oath, you ever consider easing someone's pain, feel free to just approach them with a suitable drug. You will see their pain receding before your very eyes. The sick fall asleep when they're close to recovery. Don't they? Or when they're close to their ultimate rest. Still, helping the hopeless will grant you a good reputation. You will be seen as a benefactor, willing to part with a precious sleeping draught or painkiller for a simple bystander. Anything else? No, not yet. Show me the way to Simon's house. Turn left now, then walk along the alley. You'll see a cathedral and 3 mansions across the bridge square. Simon lives in the one that is closest to the river. Thank you. What are you? Okay. Are you also not real? Because you're strange. Oh boy. The executor. Huh. Halt. I'm going to have to teach you about the technicalities of the setting, the time and the place. It's non-essential, but that's just how it is. The actor has to be prepared before he goes on stage, or else he'll fall down the aisle and stumble upon the prompt box. That would look mighty silly, wouldn't you agree? Who are you? An actor in a tragic mime show. That's unimportant. Will you listen to me or not? I'm listening. Time flies by. It can't be stopped or turned back. Nights follow days, which are then followed by nights. Things happen without any regard for whether you're there to witness them. Don't expect anyone to wait for you. Most events can be missed. And so it makes sense for you to visit the places that you care about regularly. You'll find that people will play major roles in your fate there. They stand out from the common folk. The rest are just a crowd shot, a background, a bunch of extras. As it has always been. Indeed. Still, it's best to avoid hasty judgment. It's a paradox, you see. Don't try to care too much about the lives of these bound-to-stand-out people. And don't be too dismissive of the silent crowd. Both extremes will end in tragedy. Why is that? This world cares for your reputation, a fine and crucial instrument. Your reputation changes the world, you see, for it is a mirror. Wouldn't you agree? And so a bad reputation can get you into a lot of trouble. For example? Oh, need I describe? You've got vivid imagination. Everything changes, from mystical aspects to mundane things like the people you need treating you badly. How many enemies you've got, how high the prices rise, how bad your dreams are, lots of things. A sorry prospect. How do I maintain my reputation? Really? How is that even a question? Same as anywhere. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not betray, do not steal, do not covet, don't be an asshole, do not get caught. The rules are the same everywhere. A truly selfless deed, like risking something for thy neighbor, or even a person who lives quite far away, can help in a dire situation. I see. Really? Good for you then. As for me, I can't see anything in this mask. I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, don't get too worked up about human lives, and don't put too much stock into another's words, mine included. He who trusts everyone is asking to be deceived. Yet he who trusts no one is deluded. I know that from experience.